G'day Bomber fans, I hope you have had an excellent week because I have replayed those last 2 minutes, I can't even tell you how many times, but new week, new opponent, new preview to get into. Before I do though, stick around till the end of the video to hear about MANSCAPED. We have some votes to get through as well, but real quick before I start, if you guys like my videos, you should head over to Absolutely Essendon. They are a pretty new channel like myself and are honestly pretty great. Their videos are like my videos but funner and more laid back, so head over there and show the two some love. Let's get this Bomber community growing online. So votes from the last game, exactly the same. We see eye to eye, guys. Merritt, Ridley, Durham, same order, made it easy for me to count them up. Cheers, guys. And the overall tally is looking pretty juicy. Merritt has drawn level with Parish. Redmond ain't too far behind. Neither is Langford, so it is still anybody's game this early into the season. So as far as previews go, this is the most simple because our opponent is currently by a long shot the worst team in the competition. All respect to West Coast and their fans, a lot of it isn't their fault. They have one of the worst injury lists I've ever seen. Some of you will think ours is bad, but believe me, it is not even close to theirs right now. But what it means is that they are uncompetitive at the minute. They just got smashed by over 100 points against Hawthorn, who we all know aren't very hot either. The danger here is always just being complacent. You play a bad side, you go into the game with a few gears left to get into and get jumped. It can happen. It's hard to rev up a team against the wooden spoon contenders the same way you would in front of 80,000 at the G for Dreamtime. The stakes just aren't visible, so immediately that is the big worry. And the thing is, we're playing good footy recently with a few blips and injuries of our own, but our last 6 games have either been against top teams or on big occasions. It seems a long time ago that we beat GWS. That was our last simple game. This is over a month ago, so we have to get used to these matchups again when we go in as the favourites, games we really should be winning. Some nervous Nellies will say the game is in WA, it's at Optus Stadium, but that really doesn't matter like it did years gone. In fact, their last 3 games at home have been really ugly. They lost by almost 11 goals to Melbourne, got done by over 100 points to the Blues, and most recently by 70 points against Gold Coast. So this team, wherever they go, do not come close. Only one loss has been decided by under 40 points for them, and it was against North before the injury crisis worsened. West Coast at the minute are not only the lowest scoring team in the comp, but they concede the most points per game as well. They have, to simplify this, the worst defense and worst attack in the league. Any team that concedes 22 goals to Hawthorn has the worst defense, and any team that can't kick a goal of footy in a half against them as well must also have the worst attack. I haven't even heard of some of their players, not even joking. I keep tabs with all teams, I watch a lot of footy, but this one is full of a bunch of reserves players. Some just aren't ready for the big time, but they have no other options. Their list is that unhealthy. And watching the Hawks game, there appeared to be more injuries to Duggan and Jermaine Jones, 2 of their better players for the year, so hopefully those 2 get up, because I want this team to be closer to their best than their worst. I don't want us beating a team because they don't have the personnel. There is nothing admirable about that. So I think the key factor for us winning this game of footy is just not screwing up. There really are no excuses for losing this. In fact, I'd be disappointed if we don't win by over 5 goals. A close game is far from what I want because, again, this team is not an AFL team right now. It's a few tired veterans mixed with some young players who shouldn't be playing this early into their career. They can barely name emergencies most weeks. So we need to not let them have the ball, which should be easy. They average the least possessions per game, but rather worryingly for them, they also average the least intercepts per game, so we pretty much just have to play our style of footy. We don't need to change up too much like we did against the Tigers, really. We just need to make sure the game is on our terms and that we come to the contest expecting West Coast to bounce back, and with Brad Scott and Zach Merritt leading the way, I think that'll happen. I think we will turn up ready for a fight, even if all we get is a whimper. It seems like it will be a clear night weather-wise, which suits us. I think we need to see our tall marking options control the air because they are undersized, but also I would love to see us play slowly at the back again and just control the pill. Hawthorn are a bad side and had over 100 more uncontested possessions. I wouldn't mind seeing us having over that tally. And it's important that we really capitalize on our opportunities. Their defense, it's a mess. They have no one but Barras really to deal with us, and it shows by the fact Hawthorn took 18 marks inside 50 against them. The 3 games before that, all teams took over 15. We need to find lots of space for Wiedemann, Stringer, Langford, Tip and Woody, whoever is up there, and be good in front of the sticks. And generally with games like these, I would just like to see underperforming players use this as a confidence booster. I wouldn't mind seeing a few Tip and and Woody goals. If Phillips does play, I would want to see him play like he did against Melbourne. I want Paco to be up and about, and some young players depending on who we have in the side. This is an opportunity for them to have a confidence boost. So hopefully it's not the usual suspects going to work, but we have some variety instead. I usually ask, can we win this game, or how do we win this game? But today I'm going to ask if we can lose it. And the answer is obviously yes, there is a chance. But I think the only way they win is if we lose, if you get me. They cannot win this game of footy if we are playing well. It's as simple as that. Their list just cannot beat any team at the minute. But if we are playing like we did against, for example, Port back in 2022, if we are at our very worst, they are a sniff. To me, there really isn't much they can do to win the game with us playing well. And I know that sounds cocky. This isn't me being an optimistic Essendon fan happy after a big win. I genuinely feel bad for West Coast right now. I will show their injury list right now because it's bloody long and a lot of key players are missing. So no, I don't think they can realistically win this game of footy off their own performance. It will take a disaster class from us to get the job done for them. Speaking of injuries, we may as well quickly look at the possible team news. There is a lot here. We should welcome back Dylan Shield. Brad Scott said it wasn't an ankle injury that kept him out, but a rebleed of a corked calf, which means he should be fit after a week's rest. There are some other players returning from injury, but we know Scott likes to put them through the VFL first. Guelphy played reserves minutes against Richmond. Laverty will probably come into the VFL, I think, for a week before returning, and then there are underperforming players, most notably Andrew Phillips, who was subbed off late in the game despite being a marking target. I expect Shield to come in for D'Ambrosio. Guelphy could have another week on the sidelines or replace Davey Jr., and I really hope we see Nick Bryan get rewarded for his great Magoo's form with a start against the Eagles instead of Phillips. And team news for them, honestly, who knows? Jermaine Jones and Duggan could be out, but there's no point looking at their inclusions because they are dropping like flies. They could have a completely different lineup to what we think they will go with. So obviously my prediction is a win, and I predict a 45-point win. I think they will show more than they did against Hawthorn, but man, I'm gonna hate watching this video back if they come out and upset us somehow. That would be something else. It would be a disaster if we lose this game, but that is the end of a rather lethargic preview. Guys, I am not just a fan of Essendon, but a fan of Manscaped. My nuts are smooth, I'm smelling good, looking good, and you too can be as satisfied as me for cheap if you head over to manscaped.com and enter in the discount code EverythingEssendon20 for 20% off plus free shipping. Cheers, Dons fans. I'll see you next time.